I am Ronald Mah, a licensed marriage and family therapist. I want to speak about a special kind of person that exists in every society, in every culture, among every religion, and across all of history. And that's the narcissistic personality. The thing that's really important to understand about this type of person is that he or she tends to be an extremely charismatic person who often rises to the leadership of a group of people, whether it is a country, a business, a church, a mosque, or any other group. The thing about this person is that in this position of great responsibility, where people look to them for leadership, sometimes underneath all the charisma and activity is that there is somebody who is more interested in himself or herself than other people. The danger of this person is that they will mask themselves as a leader of the people, of the business, of the religion, of the country, or whatever, but actually be most interested in promoting themselves. This type of person with this tremendous charisma is dangerous because he or she tends to prey upon the people that look to him or her for the most guidance. Sometimes they're the people with the greatest needs, the greatest vulnerability. Sometimes this person, in thinking themselves as omnipotent, that they're the best, thinking themselves as special, they end up with a sense of self-righteousness. And here the danger is the self-righteousness is not just a personal self-righteousness, but they will sometimes characterize themselves as being the voice of reason, the voice of the country, the voice of the people, and even in spiritual religious ways, the voice of a higher power, Allah, God, or whatever. And the danger there is that is actually a personal voice, but using the trappings of religion or nationality or politics, the person promotes self-interest under the guise of a religious or national or community agenda. They also have a tendency, when they're in that particular place, to assert themselves not only as self-righteous, but with that self-righteousness that they're also therefore entitled to do things that are outside the rules, that the rules aren't for them because they are special because of intelligence or special because of a connectedness to some higher power. They will interpret what is the strictures of the community in a way that serves themselves. And in doing so, asserting themselves as special, they also tend to recruit other people and make them feel special as well. They give them special information, say that they're especially entitled to privileges as well. And it becomes a kind of a seduction where somebody is told that they're special. And then with these extra benefits, entitlement to do things, they start to be corrupted and they also treat other people poorly as well. This is a way to manipulate people that can be very inappropriate. And if you as a person have some desire to be among the best, to be special, have a strong moral code. Your moral code, unfortunately, can be validated in a way that gives you the sense of entitlement as well. You get recruited into joining their narcissism and their exploitation of you and other people as well. Now, and what happens also, though, is that this person, because they feel that they are so special, and they think they speak from this incredibly righteous place, the other side of it is, unfortunately, they're actually very vulnerable to being criticized as well. Underneath the omnipotence and the grandiosity is often a very low self-esteem. And it's very low, fragile self-esteem that if they're contested, if someone disagrees with them, they will be explosive and actually become quite vicious in punishing the person. And like everything else, they'll justify the punishment as something that's necessary because it's so determined by the national politics or the spiritual leadership or spiritual guidance from above. It creates an entitlement, and because they're speaking for this higher power, then they get to do horrible things sometimes to people who've not so much that wronged them, but just maybe they have disagreed with them, and if you're not careful, because if you buy into this person being special, then you accept that punishment as something that's appropriate, and you end up in an abusive relationship. Sometimes people ask whether such a person, just a narcissistic person, whether they're a religious leader, political leader, business leader, or in the arts or so forth, is self-aware of how they are abusive. In some ways they are, because they think they are. They may realize that their behavior may be inappropriate or harmful, but at the same time, their self-righteousness gives them the entitlement to do so. What they're not conscious of is how profound their weaknesses are, their intensity of their problems are, and because of that, it's almost kind of unconscious. It's almost like goes on autopilot. If there is reflection after the fact, it is after the fact, but then they will justify themselves to themselves that it was appropriate. And of course, their great art is to justify themselves. A narcissist is extremely capable of distorting reality, remembering things differently, and convincing you that you not only saw it wrong, felt it wrong, interpreted it wrong, but that you actually were completely out of touch with the reality that they define for you. Their power sometimes is in challenging and making you doubt your own reality. And that's where sometimes when you step backwards, you look and see that there's something been really awful been going on for a long time that's actually been quite abusive. Once you realize this, then you're maybe able to, take some steps to protect yourself and to protect other people. The danger here is these people often ascend to leadership. And in leadership, there's a great responsibility to people who need leadership and people who are vulnerable. And rather than honoring people, a narcissist exploits them. So it's really quite important that these people be identified to protect not just yourself, but all the other people in the community. There's lots of things about narcissism. Like I said, it goes across every culture, every religion. All kinds of people do it, and they're, oftentimes, unfortunately, the people who ascend to leadership have some of these qualities, and sometimes to extreme. And the key issue is they make up the rules for themselves. They don't hold themselves accountable to the rules that everybody else is expected to hold. They give themselves excuses. Don't buy into it, because if you buy into it, you will allow yourself to be abused, and other people will be abused as well.